Hi, and welcome back to the series where we build real web application with React, Redux, and Node.js. So, in this part, we start on developing the actual feature for our application. So if we go back to our Trello board, here it is, user creates new character, so let's drag it into the progress bar. And here, actually, I got lazy a little bit. So as you can see here, I needed to create a mockup. And I actually created it. So I have this very beautiful hand-drawn mockup of 2 pages. So, and basically you can see here, I hope, that what I want to achieve. So this particular stuff here is when we go into the new character page, we want to have this 5 steps form, and form will be displayed here. And maybe on the right, we'll have the summary of the character that we are creating. Maybe. I'm not sure yet about the UI because I haven't built it yet. Also, another thing is we need to have races, backgrounds, and classes. So here I have 4 steps, but actually I redid it when I thought about the forms, and will have 5 steps in this form. But yeah, we need to have races, backgrounds, and classes on the database on our server. So that's another thing that we need to do. So yeah, quite a challenge. So I think that what we're going to do today, we will not be able to finish it today, but what we are going to do is we're going to create page for this form. Then we're going to create these tabs for steps. Also, we need to populate database with data, and maybe make the request, and maybe we'll draft the first step. Okay, so this is the basic plan. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so let's create here the new navigation link to the new route. We call it characters. So basically what we want to have is characters page, and on this characters page actually, we'll need also to have characters page, and on this page we'll have the empty collection of characters. Okay, so this is the first thing. Then when we'll have characters, we'll think about how to design this characters list stuff. So that's what we're going to do first. Okay, so let's go back to our editor. Okay, so where do we start? So we're gonna start with the top navigation. And here, after the dashboard stuff, nav link, nav item, so I'm gonna just duplicate this stuff. There's gonna be route nav link, it's not active right now, so there's gonna be characters, and there's gonna be my characters, formatted message for nav characters. So now we have my characters, we can go there, nothing changes, good. But you can see that active classes actually work, which is a good thing. So now we need to define this route. I think we have our routes in app. Yeah, we have guest routes here, and we have the dashboard here. So let's just copy and paste it. And here is going to be characters, and that's going to be a characters page. So now we need to import this characters page. So we're going back here, and we'll import characters page from components, pages, characters page. So now we need to create one. So we go to pages and create characters page.js. For now, there's going to be a functional component, I think. We do not need to have much. We will have the empty collection. So maybe we can do it like this right away, characters. And here, yeah, we need to connect it. That's for sure, because we're going to get data from the Redux about the characters. So we're going to have map state to props. I'm not sure for the dispatch yet. So let's create map state to props. And that's going to be characters. And this time we're going to use selector. So we'll have the character selector. Characters selector. and it takes state. Okay, so now we have it. So let's also define our prop types for this page. So there's a characters, and that's an array of objects basically, and we need to input prop types. Phew. So now here we'll have something here in a moment, but for now we need to have this character selector as well, and for that we need to have reducer and all this stuff. So let's go to root reducer, and here let's define new reducer characters, and let's just duplicate this stuff. We'll have characters. Now we need to go to reducers folder and we create characters.js. So that's the reducer. And the reducer also will be the hash, right? And that's actually a rub. That's why I want to use selectors right away, because usually when we dealing with collections in React components, we expect to work with arrays. But here in our reducer, we have objects. So we could use objects, and then in all our components, we'll use something like Lodash to map through these objects. But it's better to have I think it's better to have the selector. So selectors, I personally define them right here in the reducer itself. Maybe it's not a good idea. Maybe we should do it in a separate file, but just tell me what you think about it. Maybe you can influence my opinion on that. But for now, we're going to have all our selectors that are connected to the particular reducer in here. And then maybe the selectors that combines different entities into one, maybe they will be separate into another stuff. We'll think about it. Okay, so we define constant, and the first selector is going to be just the selector that gets the hash. So we're going to have characters hash selector. So the whole thing is it's a function that takes state, and as the result it returns state.characters. So, and does nothing with it. And the character selector itself is going to be the create selector, and the first argument of it will be the characters hash selector, and the last is the function that is actual selector. So it takes the hash and it returns back the object dot values of this hash. So now we need to have this create selector. We input this create selector. Oh, I'm typing today. My typing is terrible today. From reselect. Okay, so I'm not sure whether we installed reselect or not. So let's just add reselect. Also, I need to export this stuff. And maybe this as well. Okay, I cleared the cache between the sessions in my break, so that's why it takes so long to actually set it up. Okay, so we have reducer, and we have two selectors, and one just very simple selector just takes the hash and returns back the array, and then we just pass this array to our characters page. So let's go back here, can't resolve characters page in app component. Okay, I see. The typo is here, the type is upon us. Okay, so reselect is installed, that's good. Components. Okay, Max, stop doing this. So character selector is now defined in characters page. So if we go to characters page, character selector actually is not defined. Yeah, I can see that. So character selector, we define it, we take it from reducer's characters. So what now? Okay, good. So now in the state, we have the characters, which is an empty object. And if we go to the React, and let's search for characters page, and that's the characters page. And characters, as you can see, is an empty array. Nice. Now that we have it, we can go to the characters page. Oh, we are in the characters page here, and we can display different messages depending on the, do we have any kind of characters. So we'll have div here, and let's just add the very simple stuff. So if characters dot length equals 0, then we just display the div with class alert info, and inside of it we just have you have no characters yet. How about creating one? And yeah, I'm gonna just enclose it in another div here, and underneath it we'll have the button. So we'll have button primary, and we'll have the create new character. Okay, so you have no characters yet. How about creating one? Nice. Also, this thing here, I wanted to make to be large, so I'm gonna just add it here, the button LG, large, and also I think that class name to be the text center. Good. Okay, so right in your face, right? So this is actually not a button. It's going to be the characters /new or new character. It actually doesn't matter. So let's change this button to link, and we set it to, let's say, characters. So we could do something like new character, right? And that's totally fine. Oh, I just need to import link from React router DOM. And that's totally fun, but what happens here when I click on this create new character, pay attention to this my character stuff, bam, it becomes inactive. So that's not what I really want. I want it to be active in this particular case. While these routes are not nested per se, but just for this kind of stuff, I would make it characters /new. And this way, if I go back here in characters and click, I'm still active in my characters, which makes more sense. Okay, so now we need to create route for it. So let's go to app component and down here, use a route, and we'll have the character /new exact, and that's going to be the new character page. So let's do it like this, new character page, new character page. Save it, go to pages, new character page.js, and this page will have state. So we're gonna have class component. So let's define state to get rid of this ESLint error. Okay, so that's the new character page. So now we're ready to actually do something, right? According to this mock that I have. So we will have this 5 steps, but let's think about the structure. So we have these 5 steps, we have forms, so we need to have state to switch between these steps, and we need actual information about the character, so which we will gather during this process. Okay. So here I can do like step, and by default it's 1. So we start on the first step. And actually there are a lot of things that we need to think about and to decide. So for example, we have the form, and when user fills part of it, so for example he's on step 4, and then he navigates somewhere else, like in dashboard on my characters, and when he comes back, what do we want to happen? Do we want to store this information, so when user comes back it is there, or we just toss it away? Or even when user reload the page, what's happened then? If he reloads, do we want to store it? Do we want to persist it? So these are the questions that you need to ask yourself, and depending on the answers we'll use different stuff. If we disregard, we'll just do what we did all the time. We just have the local state, and that's it. If we want to cache it, we need to have we can use Redux, and we can store the form data into in the Redux state. And if we want to persistence, we can persist in the database, or we can persist just in local storage, like serialize this data and then get it back, right? So everything depends on what you want to achieve, what are the requirements. So we'll start very simple, and then I think we will implement the caching. Okay, so now we have this step. So there are going to be 5 steps in the form. And here we'll have our form. For now, I'm not going to split it into separate components. I'll just want to get the idea, because I have no idea what I'm going to do right now. So first, I want to have these steps. So let's do this first. Okay, so inside of this div, we'll have navigation, and in Bootstrap 4 we have nav pills, because I want it to be like pills basically. And as Bootstrap 4 uses the flexbox, we can have nav justified. So it will take the whole thing. And of course I need to place this navigation somewhere, but we'll do it a little bit later, I think. So now we have this navigation, and inside of this nav, we'll have just, for now, links or buttons. Let's go with buttons. So we'll have button with class name nav_item. And if we want this button to be active, we will have active class on it, just for demonstration purposes. Inside of this button, I will have 2 things. I think I will have the header and some kind of description. So let's say H4, and header will be step 1. And then in PE tag, we'll have choose race. So race, okay? So let's save it and have a look. What do we have? Okay, so we have step. That's good. Active is not what I expected it to be. So we have nav pills, and nav justified. That worked. Nav item and nav. I think I nav link something. Nav link. Yeah, nav link. So yeah, that's good. So let's do it 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. And for the second step, we'll have the class. Choose class. For the third step, we'll have background. For the fourth, we'll have faction. And for the fifth, we'll have name. Okay, here we go. All of them are active. Of course not. But we're going to delete all of this active stuff, because they will be dependent on our step. So what we can do here, we can add, we can enclose it into interpolation string here. Oh yeah, and color brackets as well. And here we'll just add that if step, so this state step equals 1, we're gonna return active. Otherwise, just an empty string. Okay, good. So now we have step. This step is active. Nice. So we want to switch between these steps. Another thing that I want to do is, another kind of logic here is that the following steps are not enabled until the first one is valid. So these steps should be all disabled. So for now, I'm just gonna do it for all buttons, and you see how this form is quite complex. Disabled. Okay, so now here, when we have step 1, we want to display races, the list of races, and when user clicks on one race, we want to display render the description. And when user selects one of the races, the next button appears. And so this way, you can click on this button and go to the step 2, and this step 1 will be finished. I want to make it green, for example. So there are a lot of this kind of a small logic that we're gonna just come up with the solutions as we go, and then we'll try to maybe refactor codes and remedy this mess that we're gonna create in the on the long run. Okay. So, but now we need to have data. So let's step out from the React stuff, and let's let's create data on the server because we need to have races to work with it.